Hey, welcome back. Today on Crag Builds, we're going to show you how easy it is to install an outlet on a switch leg so you can do it yourself and save some money.
Welcome to another Crag video.
Hi, welcome back to Crag Builds. Today we're going to be installing an outlet in the overhead of my shop that's on a switch. I've put some overhead lights in for when I'm working on projects where I need a lot of light. And right now it's just run on a drop cord and plugged to an outlet. So I'm going to put a switch up in the ceiling, or an outlet up in the ceiling that's on a switch. So that way if I need those lights, I just got to turn a switch on. Before we get started, I want people to know that I'm not a licensed electrician. I've just been doing my own projects for years. So I thought I'd share this just in case somebody may want to, have a similar setup in their home. I'll give you some safety tips to observe, and then hopefully you'll be able to like, share, and subscribe this. If you click the button down on the bottom of the screen where it says subscribe, that'll help support the channel. And always, we welcome back your feedback, your comments in the comment section. Look forward to doing more of these. So let's get started. I'm going to show you first of the different tools that are going to be used today. I'm going to use a nut driver just for mainly the screws that are going to hold this box onto a ceiling joist. This is your outlet box, and normally your outlet just sits right in here like that. But I'm going to put a goof ring or an outlet extender on there, and then this is going to go onto that goof ring so that eventually I'm going to put a tongue and groove ceiling on this shop, and this will give it depth and still protect those wires. So there's that. There's wire nuts. We're going to be using some 14-3 wire, and what the 3 means is that there's 3 shielded wires. So black, white, and red are the shielded wires. This is your ground. This is normally your load or live wire, neutral. And then if you wanted to wire this outlet up so that only half of it was on the switch and the other was live all the time, you could use this wire here. This is just a piece of scrap that I had left over, so it's what I'm using. These wire nuts, this is the most common. They're very inexpensive, but for some applications like this, I'm going to use this insert connector that you just push the wires into. So each color of wire will all go into one of these. It's very simple and clean that way. This is a multimeter. It measures all the different resistances and voltage and stuff like that. A good one's expensive. We're not going to be using that today. What I prefer for projects like this is just this voltage tester. It just simply tells you whether you have a live circuit or not, and I'll demonstrate the use of that here in a minute. And then a pair of wire strippers, Phillips flathead screwdriver, Dykes, and these are wire strippers. So those are the tools that we're going to be using today. Another handy thing is a multi-purpose knife to cut this sheeting, and then there's a piece of paper in there that I like to cut and make it clean. So I'll show you all of those things as we go. So this is the line that we're going to tap into that already goes to one overhead light. And this is the voltage tester. I know that this wire is hot right now because the light is on. And all you have to do is put that onto the wire and it beeps and it lets you know that that circuit is live. So I'm going to go back down and I'm going to kill that circuit, and then I'm going to retest it, which is what I always do. Is I like to have it hot first, check, make sure I'm on the right line, and then kill that line with the circuit breaker, and then come and retest it, make sure it's dead. So it gets installed with these ears flat as it pushes through the drywall, and then as you turn these screws, it opens this fin or wing up and grabs both sides of the drywall, and they're pretty secure for doing that. So here's what it looks like after we've got it All right, so here we have some wire set up, and I'm going to give you a couple tips here on what I see that some people will do that you don't want to do when you're putting these together. You don't put them just together like that and then use the wire nut to tighten them together. That's not going to be a real strong hold on that. What you want to do is you want to twist these together first and get them wrapped. It's hard to do with a real short wire like this, but you'll get the point. And cut that off, and then put your wire nut over the top of that. It's a lot stronger that way. Now, what we're going to be using today are these plug-in connectors where you're not going to strip as much insulation off of there, but this just plugs right in. You can see the wire sticking up there, and that. So each color will go into each one of those, and that makes your connection. It's very strong, it's very clean, it's very simple. So thought I'd give you that little tip. So something else we're going to use today is a strain relief bushing, and your wire pushes down into that, and then when you go to pull it out, it basically pinches it so it won't slide back out. That way, if anything would ever get caught on that wire, there's something to keep it from yanking out of that outlet. So what we're going to do is we're going to knock these knockouts out. There's going to be 3 of them. Wire coming in. This is going to go to that existing light fixture. This is a ply in, and then this is where we're going to come out to that outlet that we're installing today. And there'll be a strain relief nut on each of these. I'll just go ahead and put one in real quick. This stuff's easier to do down here than it is, crawling around in the attic anyway. So these are just going to pop in just like that. And you're required, anywhere where this is done, you're required to have strain reliefs. The old style is it's a conduit piece that screws in there, and then it's got a washer on the back. Sometimes those are a little clumsy to work with. I'm going to be kind of stretched out at arm's length doing this. All right, so we're going to put these other 2 in there. Now that box will sit like that. Wire's going to come out over to the outlet. This is going to go to that existing light, and this is the supply coming in. All right, so we're back up in the attic, and I'm going to test this one more time just to make sure that somebody didn't come along and kick that breaker on me. I know you'd all probably love to see me get shocked and poop my pants, but I'd rather not. So I'm going to take this wire staple out that's holding this wire. We'll put it back when we're done. All right, so now I got my wires all about the same length. So I'm going to strip some of that insulation off of them. So you can just kind of score a cut through that. You don't want to cut through your wire or cut into your wire. Here's that piece of paper I was talking about that's going to be, sometimes it's around the ground wire, and sometimes it's in between the ground and the load wires. something I've learned in doing this is that the shorter you make this, the harder it is at the end to coil that all up. It's hard to coil that sheeted wire up. So I'm going to go ahead and strip just a little bit more of this off. The wires bend around a lot easier that way. See, and I bought this wire from the same place, but that one is in between. It's not wrapped around the ground, so it's a little easier to get it cut off of there. And then we got one more over here. We're gonna cut. And you can go around it first if that's easier. And then score it. So there, our sheeting's off. Now we just got to strip the wires. I'm going to cut these all back to where they're the same length. All right, so now that we got our sheathing on the wire stripped, we're going to strip back about 1/2 inch on each one of these. All right, so that's done. And now we're going to take this connector and we're just going to attach, the ground. Put all the grounds together. Make sure that goes all the way up inside there. Like I said, wire nuts are cheaper. But for something like this where you're kind of out at arm's reach, these are really handy. So now I can take those and tuck them away. Now we're just going to put the whites together. They make these in different configurations. You can get them so they'll take 2 wires, I think all the way up to 6 wires. So this wire here isn't all the way to the end. Okay, then I'm going to tuck these into the box. And see, what I was saying is that if you would have left that sheeting clear here to the, up further, it makes it really hard to push that into the box. You kind of want these ends to be nice and straight. I'll go up in here a little easier. And just push those in there. Now the code in this area, whenever you do a junction like that, it's got to be in a junction box, so you don't have those all exposed. And then of course we got the strain reliefs on to keep some pressure from grabbing that wire and pulling it loose. Alright, there's that. So again, this is just basically a jumper wire that's going to run over to this ceiling joist. And when you do the wiring, you want at least 6 inches coming out of your box. So I'm going to leave a good foot of wire on here. You can always cut it off. It takes some time and a challenge to add it back on sometimes. So we're going to just leave that, and then we're going to go back to the other side of the ceiling and cut our hole for our box and fish our wire down, and then hook up the outlet. So it gets installed with these ears flat as it pushes through the drywall, And then as you turn these screws, it opens this fin or wing up and grabs both sides of the drywall. And they're pretty secure for doing that. So here's what it looks like after we've got it into the ceiling. And we're ready to put the goof ring and the outlet on. So because of this goof ring, I put longer screws in it. So when I put the tongue groove up, I've got adjustment for that additional thickness. The other thing that we're going to want to do is we're going to want to break these tabs off. Since we're using an old work box, it's going to make these push out a little bit, and the cover won't sit flush to the ceiling. So I'm going to break these off. Another note, these slots right here also work as a wire stripper, and those holes you can actually twist the wire around to get your hook on the end of it. So there is a purpose to those. So here's how it finishes up. That plate's not going to be real flat until I get the tongue and groove up on the ceiling and have something for it to mesh against. But it works. So, yay. So make sure you leave some comments, questions, your thoughts on what we did today, and please like and subscribe and share so we can keep bringing you content. Thanks. Have a great day.